Let's kick off this list with some of your recommendations, starting with longtime viewer Tumo Fiji recommending Onrush, an arcade racer with a ton of action. This game is in my PS4 library for a while now and I haven't given it the time of the day yet. It looks freaking amazing and I have a soft spot for simple racing games with amazing crash physics. The second recommendation comes from John Patrick with Gintama Rumble. This fast-paced hack-and-slash game seems to be based on an anime series and it looks like it could be a blast to play. Sadly, it never made its way to the West, but the Asian version has English subtitles and menus. I wish there was a place on the internet that would make it super easy to import Asian games.
Anyway, hey you guys, how are you doing? Another day, another PlayStation 4 Hidden Gems video. Today we are checking out some PS4 games that got a bad rap. But are they really that bad? Or did the internet bandwagon strike again? Today we are going to find out. And you guys know the drill. Grab yourself some pizza, kick back and make yourself comfortable, and let's get the kick out of gaming.
We are kicking off this list with Dark Souls 2: Skull of the First Sin. The second entry in this game series is pretty similar to the first Dark Souls game, but also worse in every way. At least this is what most die-hard Dark Souls fans think. Once again, we dive headfirst into a dark medieval fantasy world. As an undead, we are cursed to be reborn every time we die, and we are going to die a lot. So it's our turn to search for a cure. As the bearer of the curse, we must link the flame to keep the world from turning into darkness. What does that mean? It's complicated, but Wake's storytelling is one of the main selling points of DS games. And what makes them stand out is having challenging gameplay, amazing boss fights, and really good interconnected level design. And let me tell you, the main hub area of Dark Souls 2, Majula, is one of the best in the series. This small village and all its secrets is so chill and fun to explore. The music just adds to that, and the setup near a sea cliff is a super chill location to hang out in between fighting giant monsters. Also, little known gaming kick fact: don't go up here and join this covenant. You can thank me later. When it comes to the main gameplay loop of Dark Souls 2, it's more of the same. We are going to die a lot. We are dying to enemies, we are dying to bosses, and we are going to die from freaking fall damage. But that's all part of the game's charm, if you like that, and are willing to put in the time and effort to overcome these challenges. Then Dark Souls 2 really opens up. What makes Dark Souls 2 unique is that it's one of the easiest for casual players. Overall, Dark Souls 2 is a great game and one of my favorites. It's a massive and incredibly rewarding sequel. Love it or hate it, but give it a try. Either way, we are headed to the next game on this list. DMC, Devil May Cry the Definitive Edition. And I'm going to address the elephant in the room first. DMC is widely known for a certain not so family friendly cutscene, and if you haven't experienced it yet, you're in for a wild ride. Let's just say you are doing atrocious acts under the eyes of God. But DMC is so much more than that, and it sure isn't the worst Devil May Cry game out there. But let's start at the beginning of Dante's journey in his younger years. While we are having a good time in our trailer park home, we get kicked into a world-ending conspiracy when our trustworthy twin brother Virgil asks for a helping hand to take down the demon overlord Mundus. We have to rip and tear our way through two different dimensions. At its core, this is a hack and slash game with a wild story, interesting levels, and great enemy design. The gameplay revolves around chopping up monsters in the most stylish way possible while keeping our combo meter up. There is an in-depth combat system that rewards you for experimenting with different types of attacks between weapons, which you can switch to instantly. There are a ton of epic levels and set pieces and an amazing combat engine focusing on vicious, nasty combos and insanely fast speeds. The action is freaking intense and this game is better than a lot of people give it credit for. I know it gets a lot of hate, but I actually love the storyline contrary to what others say. I think it's a well thought out, interesting story. The cutscenes are enjoyable to watch and the soundtrack is freaking amazing. It fits perfectly. And this game is worth playing just for the hilarious dialogues alone. So getting this is a no-brainer for old school hack and slash fans. Next up is Iron Fury, the Aftershock DLC. Iron Fury just got a new DLC, so I decided to give this old school Duke Nukem clone a revisit and check out if it manages to stand on its own. Again, we play as Shelly Bombshell Harrison, a cybernetically enhanced super soldier who lost her job after the first game. But this is not a sob story and our mad scientist antagonist is still at large and is trying to take over the world once again. So we take another quick sip of our whiskey and jump straight into the action. The story falls more on the simple side and the one-liners are a bit whack, but the old school gameplay still rocks. We'll spend our time running through huge levels, shooting goons and solving some light puzzles. The game's gameplay is fast-paced and challenging and the level design is excellent. Like the original Iron Fury, the levels are full of secrets and shortcuts and there is always something new to discover. On top of that, there are some new over-the-top action sequences now, like driving a hover bike through the city streets and blasting goons left and right. The new Iron Fury Aftershock DLC adds some new weapons and new enemies as well. I also did enjoy the new Arrange mode, which lets us play the original Iron Fury with the new enemies and new secrets. Overall, I had a blast with this game. The frantic action, well thought out level design and fun weapons made it a blast to play. This game is so freaking retro, it will make you want to wear black sunglasses, get freaking pumped and get a military cut. If you're a fan of retro shooters, you should definitely check it out. Next up on this list we have Detroit Become Human, or like I like to call it, Detroit Become Evil, for my first playthrough. Not exactly a hidden gem, but a somewhat overlooked game, because it gets trash talked a lot for its on-the-nose writing for modern audiences. Recently I gave it a chance regardless, so let's talk about it. Detroit Become Human is a game about second-class humans, aka androids, in a somewhat near future. When these robots become sentient and start to question their place in the world, we are in for a game full of drama, suspense and moral dilemmas. And some unintentional humor too. Detroit Become Human is a game that's melodramatic. It's a game full of over-the-top characters and situations. From a cop with a troubled past that loves to shoot androids for fun, to a robot housekeeper with a heart of gold who is abused by its low-life drunk owner. The story follows multiple timelines with a ton of choices that affect the outcome of the game, and that's where the unintentional humor comes in. The game's choices lead to some very funny results. I mean, it's not exactly subtle writing and commentary about overplayed stereotypes and diverse characters, but if you look at it from a different perspective and as a lighthearted and unintentional comedy, it's a blast to play. But in all honesty, it's a really well done game with great graphics and interesting mechanics. This is surely one of the best interactive movies out there. Its main focus is telling an engaging story, and it did deliver on that front. So if you want to take this game seriously, you will have a great time with it as well. Detroit Become Human gets the kick of approval. Next up we have Azure striker Gunvolt. We play as Gunvolt, a superpowered assassin who is tasked with protecting a girl. This girl has the power to control electricity, and a group of evil scientists want to use this power to create a new world order. While this story starts out rather basic, it goes way harder than I expected in the end. But this is retro gaming done right. You pick your level and jump straight into the action. The controls are easy and simple, but what makes the gameplay in Azure Striker Gunvolt so unique? Gunvolt's basic gun is pretty weak on its own, but it has a special feature. Once you hit an enemy, they are tagged and you can unleash your electric flash field that brings the pain and gives the combat the edge. For a 2D side-scroller, the levels are really well designed and had a lot of variety in them. My biggest issue with Azure Striker Gunvolt is that the game is pretty short. You can beat it in about 4 or 5 hours. Another flaw is that the game's difficulty curve is all over the place. Some of the levels are really easy, while the bosses are incredibly difficult. This can be frustrating at times, but overall Azure Striker Gunvolt is a freaking great game. If you're a fan of the Blue Bomber or side-scrolling action games in general, then I definitely recommend checking it out. Next up, we have Fatal Frame: Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. This game is about a group of girls who go back to a haunted island to investigate the deaths of their friends. But instead of finding answers, they find ghosts. Lots of ghosts. We take the control of each of these characters at varying points in the story as they pursue the different truths they are looking for while learning more about a tragedy that befell this island and somehow involves them too. And like in every other game in the Fatal Frame series, we are using a camera to defend ourselves. An antique camera that could fend off ghosts, the camera obscura. This is the only thing that can stop those nearly invisible goons. But it's also very slow and cumbersome. Your goal is keeping the camera locked on the ghost for maximum damage, while the invisible goon is trying to kill you. This is not your typical action horror game, but this is what makes it so rewarding to get those fatal frames. It also helps that the game is full of suspense and scares. Given the amount of backtracking we have to do, having an incredible atmosphere keeps the game exciting. And while I struggled with the stiff controls a bit at first, I quickly got the hang of them. Overall, Fatal Frame: Mask of the Lunar Eclipse is a great horror game. It's scary, suspenseful, and full of atmosphere. And let's be real, having those additional swimsuit costumes made the playthrough so much more enjoyable. Team Ninja is doing God's work and saving Western society here. Anyway, the next game on this list is Hotline Miami. It's hard to convey in video form, but Hotline Miami is a highly addictive shooter that really stands out among other retro games. The downward spiral of violence and insanity we get thrown into is very engaging in its own kind of way. But let's start at the beginning. Hotline Miami is a game about a masked man who follows mysterious phone calls which tell him to commit increasingly violent acts. In top-down perspective, we make our way through levels filled with enemies. These goons are armed to the teeth with different weapons and they are all out to kill us. Good thing is, we are well trained and can use all these weapons to our advantage too. And this is the main gameplay loop, trying to take down all these goons without getting hit once. And once you enter a level and get going, the game is incredibly fast-paced and challenging, and you die with one hit. But you can also respawn in an instance, and that is what makes this such a thrill ride. When you finally manage to clear a level after dying dozens of times, it's very satisfying. On top of that, it has one of the best soundtracks ever made that instantly hooks you. Hotline Miami is one of the most visceral, hard-boiled and bare-knuckle action games out there. It's also one of the most influential in aesthetics, style and soundtrack, making it an all-time classic and must-play. The next PS4 game on this list is Soulstice. In Soulstice, we are playing as two sisters who are magically bound together and come to a holy city where evil reigns supreme. And the gate to another dimension is about to be opened, and we are the only ones who can stop it. In classic hack and slash fashion, we slice our way through hordes of goons and try to keep the combo timer up. Soulstice combat features light and heavy attacks, a multitude of weapons you can seamlessly switch between, a ton of Lovecraftian inspired bosses for us to rip and tear into, and a temporary overpowered state where we deal even more damage to those goons. The game's combat is fast paced and really satisfying, and the levels are well designed and challenging. I didn't mind the locked camera, but I do mind that some of the enemies are major damage sponges. They seem to tank a lot of hits, and this gets frustrating a few times when you had to attack a few bigger goons at once. Good thing is though that this game doesn't hold back with its over-the-top action sequences. And on the New Game Plus run, you truly feel overpowered. Soulstice did get some heavy inspiration from other well-known games, and it feels similar but legally distinct to the Greek bald guy and the Black Swordsman. You guys know that I'm a major weep when it comes to classic anime, and clearly the devs wanted to throw cool stuff our way and didn't let small details like international copyright stop them from making an amazing game. Right now, Soulstice is the overlooked poster child of modern hack and slash action games, so don't let this hidden gem fly under your radar. Next up we have Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. If you're looking at the gameplay footage on screen, Deus Ex: Mankind Divided looks like every other shooter, exploring levels, shooting goons, and do some talking, but underneath all that, there is so much more. Like every Deus Ex game, Mankind Divided manages to grab your attention from the start and instantly makes you a part of this futuristic world, with all its factions, characters and augmentations. Technically, you could play however you like. You could do a non-lethal run and just sneak and talk your way through this game. Not that I'm interested in that, but it's a neat concept if you're down for it. I did blast my way through the 15-hour single-player campaign. In Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, we play as the one and only cybernetically enhanced Übermensch Adam Jensen, who is tasked with investigating a terrorist attack in Europe, which is connected to a worldwide conspiracy, and the conflict between man and machine is boiling up. So the stakes are high, and the game's story is freaking great, but what makes Deus Ex so interesting are the choices and seeing how they affect the outcome of the game. Deus Ex combines an open world hub with action and stealth elements and amazing dialogue trees. Every situation can be dealt in a few different ways. This is one of the few games where this really works out. Mankind Divided never stopped challenging me and rewarding my curiosity, which pushed me to check out every detail in this beautiful but ruined world, while carefully making my decisions along the way. This is one of the best first-person immersive shooters out there. Overall, Deus Ex: Mankind Divided is an amazing game. One of the few games where the open world really feels like the NPCs living in it and you are part of it all. And you never asked for this, but if you're looking for the perfect cyberpunk game on PlayStation 4, then you don't have to look any further. And the final PlayStation 4 game on this list is Yakuza 4 Remastered. Yakuza 4 is the first game in this series that starts off with us playing a new character, Akiyama, and this might have rubbed some fans the wrong way because Yakuza 4 sold so few copies that Sega decided that Yakuza 5 is not worth bringing to the West. That was back in the early 2010s, and I recently decided to replay the Yakuza 4 remaster, and oh boy, was it a roller coaster ride. If you're in the mood for a game that effortlessly blends together intense crime drama with soap opera moments, this one is a gem. The characters are well developed and likable, and the twists and turns will keep you guessing until the very end. There are 4 playable characters, each with their own unique fighting style and story arc. This gives the game a lot of variety, and it helps to keep things fresh throughout the lengthy campaign. The combat is also very satisfying, with plenty of flashy combos and over-the-top finishing moves. All the new characters bring their own unique abilities to the table, which adds a lot of depth to the fighting system. And there's the dialogue, which swings between gritty Yakuza drama and downright crazy absurdity. And there's also the whole city of Kamurocho for us to explore, with a shit ton of mini games and other stuff to do. Overall, Yakuza 4 is an amazing game. It starts a bit slow, But it makes more than up for it with its engaging story and addictive gameplay. If you're looking for a Japanese action-adventure game with a great story, then Yakuza 4 Remastered is definitely worth checking out.
And that's it, my dudes. These are my favorite underrated PS4 hidden gems. Let me know which PlayStation 4 game is your favorite in the comments down below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, kick the like button, sharing is caring, and subscribe. But most importantly, have a great day and get the kick out of gaming.
Whoa, she'll be there tonight. You're not coming in. You're not on the list. I am now.